boy. Talk about phenomenal. I went through white grass screen settings and travel lines and went direct and redirect. I went panel communications back to zero, back to panel, back to communications, back to past, back to position, back to present, back to future, back to the exist location of the now. So it's interesting how we commented the complicated screen interference of travel calculation position line center. Its live was just kept on going. It was weird. I'm looking at my phone and it's the live is still running, but there's my face, right? And then it goes black. So I had to reset lines to calculate high position location of travel lines and direct signal. That was traveling too fast and set locations, right? Letting the modulation screen lines and high communication to your computer frame and position travels get you back in balance. Right? It's amazing how you come in that track location of settings and travel communications. All right, so back to the LCR. Okay, so in that provision line cycles, we set a core light triangle. Now the core setting high interference is your line position locations, how you come into box equals lines of triangulation. Let's start with that track locations, right? And understand line calculation triangulation and equals lines of box. Okay, so aspects location of male and the female of its polarity, right? Into the center correlations of track. Okay, and this is the position of female of the male polarity in the correlations of track and center. Okay, so you're working with this in set locations of Mother Earth, and you're working with this in set locations of Father Space. Okay, basic understanding through a male and a female cycle, and a female and a male cycle. Okay, and then you have the equal line calculation setting in position of its in between. Okay, which is the core track lines to your platforms of travel. Okay, so the center correlation setting is the tube. Okay, this is the tube generation screen. Okay, now it's really interesting too, because once you understand that, then you understand how to go through the platforms. And the cerebral sets lines communication to its dimension lines of pi, puts position travel calculation settings and high calculations, your track locations. So in that position here, you're in settings into your infinity of travel. Okay. So it's above system, but it's this in a correlation. Okay. So when you go through, you're going to other lines of calculation. But that's how it's set up. Okay, through a male and a female male in polarities. Okay, so the platforms are the dimensional doors that you go through in set location and travel. Okay. Now the cerebral is a centered dome. It's a center dome. Okay, that's the cerebral. So you're working with line calculation lines of highest interference into the left and set lines of core, which is the LCR. Okay. Setting calculations of two panels, interapplication of space and time. Okay. You're always in the center of operation, always in the center. That never leaves your system. It's the mind that shifts everything through its anomalies. Okay. But to understand you through your male and female or female male is understanding the grounds, is understanding the powers, and is understanding you through mechanisms of space through the male and the female cycles of polarities. Okay. So when you get into cerebral, it's really, really powerful in set location. Okay. You start to see yourself in your mapping sequence, mapping panels, mapping directions, all set location in your system. Right? But it's a formation location of a screen line, direct signals is modification. So getting everybody back in position here. Okay, so we're just continuing on, okay, what happened to direct and redirect, right? Hey, Gyps. So line connections and line settings. Hey, Gyps. Hey, Gyps. That's how it reads, right? How are you doing? I'm fine. Oh, see? So we have to start with the calculations to our own LCRs, our connections of our hemispheres in 3-track locations and our 7-track location, right? 7 tracks in one, 3 tracks in one, okay? So what you're doing is you're taking this, and you in the center of operation. You're taking this and this in center calculation, okay? You're forming into this in center calculation, splits in anomalies in track location, okay? Setting calculation lines into position of what? An atom. Okay. So once you get an atom, it comes into its flux. And once it comes in its flux, what does an atom do? Think of the atom propeller. Think of it as a position of a fan. It just it spins. That's all an atom does. It doesn't do anything else. It spins. So it's a core spinner, right? Doesn't do anything else. But that's its job. So if you understand that, then you understand the importance, what an atom is used for, how to use it through letters, numbers, shapes, and symbols in track line conditions. You come to 2 parallels of set location lines of rings in track location. See the rings? Okay. So once you get into that calculation setting in that position locations, try to communicate to yourself and see yourself coming out set locations here. Okay, set location line settings. You're spitting out line conditions, right? Numbers, letters, shapes, and symbols. Okay, all through a pi, a binary. So each one has a graph calculation line centers, your location system to your LCRs. Left and right, right and left, right? So left, set locations. Left can be anywhere in settings. Remember, it's a symbol you have to understand through relation because it doesn't go in one direction. It goes in all directions. See, I got to show you exactly what it is when you come into symbols because you guys are being into that in set location tomorrow. A symbol is a track location. That's a symbol. But it's complicated because it's not in one direction, but you see the 6 and 9, right? They're just going. So you got to understand how to direct and redirect. That's what you're doing with your transitions and resistors. And once you go faster, it's creating a hologram. And when it creates a hologram, it creates its image in track location, right? So it goes faster and faster and faster and faster, right? When it goes faster, it's that location, it actually creates its platform of its structure of its image. Okay? But it has to be at a certain frequency. Everything's at a certain frequency, right? Okay. So in position locations, how are you doing? So locations, travel line conditions. How are you? How are you? I'm fine. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you too. See? All different line connections, right? Through alpha, delta, theta, omega, zeta, zeta, gamma line connection radiation, or I think beta, right? Always use beta as a reference in set calculations, right? Beta tone. Beta equals moderation. Okay? Alpha equals grounds. Delta equals headings. Okay? Now, in positions when you get into theta, theta equals phenomena, equals lines of image. Okay? Say correlation and ascending track lines. And mega is to what? To set locations. What is a mega? Does anybody understand what a mega is? If beta is as a monotone, and alpha is the grounds, and delta is the headings, and theta is the phenomena of its image, what is a mega? What is omega? What are you guys in? In cell locations, what? Omega X. Intelligence. See? Dun, da, da, da. Okay? So once you reach omega, you're in your intelligence. In a wave line. Equals lines of wave, equals lines of line connections. Omega X. Okay, it's a wave, right? Everything is a wave. Everything is a correlations of the panels of a wave. Everything is a computer communication line centers of a wave. Right? Beta, alpha, delta, theta, omega. Okay, that's how it integrates the set location setting location system in a computer. It's memory line connection, right? So this is intertrace locations. Now this gets really interesting. Check this out. Now, once you get into zone graph calculations, zoning graphs, right? This is all calculation of your sonars. Set location line connection, your E graphs, location setting echoes. Hello, hello, hello. How are you? You. Fine. Right? So it just travels, right? Starts off with this, starts off with this, starts off with this, starts off with that. Okay, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Triangulation reset line connection, high center, position of its operation. Right? Sends out line connections, sets out waves, sets out communication or sonar communication setting and travel. Okay. All right, so when you get in that correlation setting, now you go correlate and set interference and traffication of zeros, anything through letters and anything through shapes. So it's all about putting underlying calculation setting travel lines as 0, L, into triangulation. But first you have to understand, what does it mean to you? And that's how you come into an image, right? You got a negative line centers of O, it's downshift cross location, which means it's an off switch. So that is a retraction equals location of binary. Okay. So if you start off at negative, you know what's going to be next. Negative equals lines of positive, right? Because your computer just goes on and off. It doesn't do anything else. So if you start off negative and you don't go into positive, what are you doing? You're retracking. What are you doing? You're repositioning. What are you doing? Refocusing. What are you doing? Re-angling. What are you doing? Recalculation. You're not directing yourself going forward in set locations. Okay? All right. So understanding that calculation line interference, you take the waves. This is a wave. Okay, this is a beta wave. That's a beta. All right. Say location lines. You indicate connection to the graph lines. Let's bring in some traffications. Okay, this is it up close. This is what it looks like in setting. Right? So this is this up close, right? So you have to stand in the graphs where it's coming to correlation and travels, direct line modification. So this is this, right? All through settings of monotone for beta. So this is alpha, this is delta, this is theta, and this is beta. You went down shift line, even though it's up line swing locations, a retraffication system, and calculates line interference in position locations back into alpha. So this is monotone, but this is actually through its light, how it sees it. So the XT1000s are in platitude line connections as settings and 3-track locations inside connections of the light. When you understand light, you have to slow down the light of its space, of its time. And that's what you see through a monotone locations into line connections just through a solar graph calculation streamline that connects line interference to all of the detections of light in track location. So this is this up close. This is a map. This is a wave. Okay? So getting that position of travel lines, then you add calculation lines of zeros and ones. 0, 1, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1. Okay? That's a beta wave through all zeros and ones. Okay, you need to understand that settings and track lines because the one line calculation setting is 2 zeros. Calculation high interference line condition line center high interference location and setting location of 2 zeros. Set location lines of 2 zeros. So it's 2, 2, 2 in track location, right? That's perimeter line set location security is order line calculation setting attraction, right? Then you have 0 calculation line. Then you get 1 track location, 1 0 line conditions, 1 0 calculations, and 0 calculation line setting. Okay. So it's all about reading the center correlation setting of beta wave, all through zeros and ones. Okay. Because that's what it sends out, through anything through water, anything through air, anything through fire, anything through space and time, or anything through the grounds. Okay, everything has a set line to calculate the setting position of its binary, right? This is its binary. Okay, this is its binary through light. Okay, so if you look really, really close, that's what light looks like up close. And it has a graph, has a map, and has 60,000s inside the light, right? There's light, that's light, right? So it's really understanding what's inside the light. You got to see it up close. And when you see it up close, you see nothing but a map. Okay? The set of line setting is really understanding your position location, your systems through your energetic graph calculation stream locations. That's why you have to get into positive when you're traveling. You're not in negative line. You don't want to start off negative line communication because it resets positions back in traction. That puts you in a virus, separation, depression, angry, stress. Okay, so always get into your compute system of your computer, of your memories, and it transitions locations up on. Okay, on equals positive. Whoa, look what we just did there. Not negative equals positive. Positive equals negative, people. Right? Now, once you understand that, the positive and negative, positive equals negative, it disappears and just comes in a circle, 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 circle in communication setting, try to calculate position, point centers, and application. It turns into all calculations. An all process of yin and yang. Okay. All right, so we have to really understand how to connect with your settings and travel in position point centers, right? Directing modification setting. High level of track location. Directing signals. It's all through a graph. It's all through your voice. It's all through your computer of its memory. How a computer understands its voice grid from its memory at all set locations. So every time you speak, what is it picking up? Vibration, frequency, harmonics, all through your energy. Right? So hopefully you guys get a better understanding what happens when you come into the line calculation setting of a film strip, and all calculations, right? Through your settings of zeros in your position, location, your letters, and calculations, stream and appearance, location to your shapes. Okay? And calculations of 1, 2. Sets position of 1, 2, and 3. Sets location of 1, 2, and 3. 2, 3, 3. Binary! Okay? It automatically comes in 2 zeros, comes lines and locations of 3 zeros, sets locations of 3 zeros and set locations. Ooh! Binary, binary, binary. Okay? So 2 and above is binary. 1 and below is singularity. 3 calculations of box frames, okay, is a pattern. Okay? So the correlations of 3 line track locations could be 3, could be 4, could be 5, right? 3, 4, 5, right? 3, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 3, 2, 1. Right? So you got to direct and redirect, direct and redirect. So every time you're doing that, you're going faster, 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 faster. All right? Set location line, send locations into 0. Set location of 1, set location of 3, set location of 2, set location of 1 into 8. You got to skip an anomaly. So if you're not in chronological order, what are you doing? skipping words, the frequency, right? You're slurring, right? You okay? So that's why your voice does that. You're skipping channel communication, stream interference, or track location, your settings to your binaries, right? So right? It's not centering its communication. It's not operating in site location. It's not a position location of binary retraction. It's a retraction of binary. There's a difference between binary retraction and retraction of binary. Direct, redirect, direct, redirect. See that? You see the difference on that application? Right? You've got to get in that set locations. Okay? So the more you balance out your throw pattern, the more you balance your voicing green line connections, the more you open up the clarity, the more you exercise the locations of your breathing. Create a story, create a lifeline setting, all through breathing, all through mechanism. You guys have to get into that line connections. You have a voice. Now you have to understand how to use it. You can recognize any of the calculation lines. You can reach frequency location of birds or dogs or cats. Okay? So there's so many ways to understand how to do that. Through your waves, through your central system, all through operation. Okay? So in that modifications, once you understand how to use your LCRs in settings and travel, you start in lines of all communication, your settings and programs through recognition. Okay, all through your graph calculations, your computer operations system. So does everybody understand that now? A little bit more. It's getting to be a lot more fun now. Why it's so important to breathe. Breathing. Find a rhythm. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, right? Because that's all your computer does. It just runs programs, runs programs, right? The only time it goes back in set location is if you go back. So if you're going back, what are you doing? Air. Right? So really understand how that surfaces and really understand how to use that voice of yours to really get into that binary set locations, right? It's about understanding to balance it out through volume, fast, and velocity. Okay? This is going to give you a better track location system, but get into your breathings. Breathing helps. Okay? It gets you into line settings, so getting into calm. Be calm. Okay? Breathing is extremely important, so just keep going. Go up, go down, go up, go down. Go in the middle, stay in the middle. Say locations, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. Down, right? Go back up, go up again, higher. Go back in the middle, go back down, right? Find a way to get into that line connections. Get into that deeper core of yourself. Okay? That's why you guys get in positions of repeating patterns, repeating cycles, or anything through duration, right? Because you're retracting your binaries. You know, right? So, you know, it's really powerful when you come into that line connection. Yes, Johnny. All right. I'm connecting to all formation location, your grid lines, and screen location, your sets and travel. You have to really get into your voice to understand what you're doing through reiteration, right? Get in those frames in that line connections, right? Tomorrow, which is not coming because it's already here in tractions, we're going to go into symbols. Symbols are going to get very complicated because they're not in one line signal. They travel everywhere in set locations. Now, it doesn't matter what symbol it is, you have to understand how to go into that. Back and forth, because that's what it does. But it doesn't just go back and forth. It goes up and down, crossover, cross line connection, setting, northwest, south, and east, triangulation line, circulation, rotation. It can do whatever it wants. So everything, letters, numbers, shapes, and symbols can do whatever it wants. It can morph into anything in Sublocation Zone GOD. That's the modification you guys have to get into, of what you can do with your system, with your communications, right? Get into your finger points. How's it going? I'm fine. How are you? How are you? I'm doing great. That's amazing, right? Get into that flow. Get into that rhythm. That's why I got you guys in that haiku, right? To get you into that settings. Really start to connect. Really listen to your voice. What's it doing? How to communicate, right? That's all this is. It's just really trying to understand the balance inside the you. Okay? How you come into line connections. Did I stutter? Did that stutter? Stutter? Repeat. Repeat. You know, same the same motion, same the same motion, same the same motion, again. Like a record player, like a record player, like a record player. Audio line connection, audio line connection, audio line connection. See how I go in the same pattern? See how I go in the same pattern with my hand? But see how I go in the same pattern with my hand? See how I go in the same pattern with my hand? This is off. You see what I mean? It doesn't know what it's doing. So to understand that is to get back in frame. Hello, how are you? I'm fine. Nice to meet you. See? I know exactly when to be in position, location of balance. Know exactly how to communicate to all calculation lines of finger, point, location, and direct location of computation. Set of correlation and attractions, operation line settings, high interference, track communication, direct modification, center calculation line position, operation location lines of 2, 4 lines set location of 3, position of 4, position of 5, position of 1. Right? Balance, balance. Right? Get into your A's, get into your B's and C's and D's and E's and F, all the way up to Z and Z, right? So really get into that setting, direct and redirect your voice. So you understand yourself more through binary, through all compute system, all through direction, right? So we have to get into that information. Okay, that's the way you're going to get into that continuous flow. And you have to start talking to each other through your body of reaction, not talking at each other. Hey, you're talking at each other in communication line interference. That's not fair in position, track line, center interference. I'm trying to remember in position, location calculations. Forget it. I don't know what you're saying in position, track line interference. I keep doing what I want to do in position location because I have a tremendous ego and like calculates to do its positional attraction. Yes, you do have a tremendous ego in position, location, attraction. Why do you use that in correlation to track locations? Well, because I am what I am, and that's who I am. Well, there you go. Right? You see the balance you guys need to get? And this is what goes on in your mind all the time, 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 all the time. And that's why you need to get balance, right? It's extremely informative, okay? Gypsy has a very, very powerful video on TikTok where she basically talks through her personalities. And that's what you guys are coming into at higher levels of the mind. I don't want to do this in track location line centers. How long do we have to be here? This isn't fair. Well, what are you talking about? I'm trying to sleep here, guys. You guys are too loud. What's going on here? I just got back. Everybody's yelling and everybody in position location doesn't understand what's going on with the calculation. Boom. You've got to get all that in balance. Okay? Because your mind is going faster and faster and faster and faster and faster. Okay? Through your hardwares, through your softwares, and through your LCRs. Okay? Through your Triple Crown and your 7-line calculation setting attractions. So every time you speak and setting calculation line interference, you're working with your LCRs all the time. 3 times the triangulation of an image. 7 times the triangulation of an image. Every single time on seconds and minutes and hours is changing your track location. Okay? knowing exactly how to use the seconds, minutes, and hours through your clockings. Okay, and set provision. All right. So really, really listen to yourself, what you are saying. Okay.